Thank you for checking out this introduction to the new dark and gritty novel written by James Cousineau. The novel is entitled Wrecked. Dedication. This book is dedicated to the countless victims of crime who can never truly feel the justice system represents the lives lost in today's environment. For those who have felt let down by the courts and the system of justice that protects the accused more than the victims. To those who bravely and endlessly challenge governments and demand change. Finally, it's also dedicated to the men and women of law enforcement around the world who work tirelessly and risk their lives with selfless determination to make the world safer, even when they feel the revolving doors of the system return the same criminals back to the streets before the charge sheets are even dried. With that said, it's also important to remember that this is a work of fiction, and no action or methods in this book should ever be attempted by anyone. Justice may not be as blind as it should be, but we need to continue allowing it to conduct business while we demand changes by elected officials in the proper democratic process. Introduction. The air may be cool and the night has reduced visibility, but this is not a concern for elite Strike Team Echo. The night vision goggles provide a clear image of a seamlessly abandoned town in Kandahar when the team catches movement from under the rubble of a collapsed building. A feral cat runs from them and the team takes a collective breath. The team is in a tight clearing formation as they enter the target building on the right. It is damaged from earlier aerial attacks, but no movement was seen from the satellite images, so it's assumed that the targets are still held up inside. Intelligence says there should be at least 13 ISIS operatives and leaders inside, and they are determined to either capture or eliminate them for good. As the team enters the building's old, decrepit hallway from the main entry point, they have to step over a body. Limbs are missing from the torso, but the face is still recognizable. Team leader Matthew signals for Bryce to take a photo for positive identification and inclusion in the operational report that'll need to be presented to the president, regardless of the mission's outcome. The team gets to the building's main stairway that looks as though it could collapse at any time. They do not allow them to stop the directives that they're seeking to achieve. As they approach the bottom level, they hear the faint whispers of the enemy. Matt signals the team to the right, and they move in the directions of the voices and light footsteps. Flashes of gunfire light up the hallway and Jake goes down. The team takes cover and Matt pulls Jake from the hallway into the small room on the left, as the rest of the team gets ready for a full assault of the ISIS fighters. Jake signals to Matt that he's okay. The bullets hit his Kevlar vest, and although it knocked the wind from him for a minute, he was now getting back to his feet. Jake retakes his position and gets ready to launch a flash bang grenade into the hallway. Matt shows his hand, with 3 fingers held up for the team to follow. As he brings each finger down in a count, and the last finger drops, Jake throws the flash grenade. As quickly as the first bullets came, the team stormed into the hallway and eliminated the 4 ISIS fighters. The bodies are riddled with holes, but again, Bryce must take pictures for identity confirmation. As the team continues movement through the hallways, they find a large steel door that is very secure. Matt signals Jordan from the back of the group to come forward. Jordan is a smaller Asian operative, but what he lacks in size he makes up for in his knowledge and skills as America's top explosives expert. He is so precise and skilled, he could take down a building in minutes, or blow the tick off a dog's ass without ruffling the fur around it. As he attaches the explosives to the door, the team takes cover in a narrow doorway of a bathroom, which looks like it has sustained years of neglect, which is odd because water is still spraying from the pipes which are suspended from the ceiling. Jordan quietly backs away from the door and into position with his team. He does not even look down as he steps into the pooled water flowing from the broken pipes. His focus is 100% on the task at hand. Again, Matt holds up his hand and does a countdown until there is a loud blast and flash. With that, Jake throws another flash grenade through the doorway they've just opened. Or maybe destroying is a better word for it. But regardless, they are now making entry. Several of the ISIS fighters start firing in a panic while not being able to see through the smoke and dust that was caused by the explosion. The ISIS fighters do not have the benefit of night vision and infrared displays in their goggles. The team takes several shots, which hit their marks with complete accuracy. Each of the 5 fighters were taken out, while the real success is being able to take the 3 leaders into custody, with only one of them being shot, and ironically, from one of his own protectors. The shot only hit him in the shoulder, so the mission is considered a success. The ISIS leaders are secured with zip ties and hoods placed over their heads. Matt and his team lead them out of the building and place them into an awaiting armored truck reinforced with steel cages. As the last one is secured and the heavy door slams closed, the team now takes a moment to celebrate another victorious mission. Now they should have a clear path back to the base. Matt radios in to inform the general, who is waiting at the base, that they are 5 minutes out. The major informs him that the president was also online for the operation, viewing it through the body cam footage in real time. Excuse me. The president sends his deep appreciation to you and your team. Matt responds with a proud "Thank you, sir," and thanked President Wilson. Matt and the president were actually childhood friends, and sometimes he unintentionally refers to him by his first name, but not by any means with any disrespect to the president or the office. The team arrives at base and transfers the prisoners to the security team awaiting their arrival. As the final injured leader is taken from the truck, he groans in pain when one of the security teams pulls his arm, the one below the bullet hole in his shoulder. The agent laughs and pulls a little harder while telling him, "You think that hurts? It's nothing in comparison to the fucking suffering of hundreds of men, women, and children you blew up in the New York subway." Major General Powers sits at a makeshift desk, which is actually some 2x4s, nailed together in X shapes to hold the piece of plywood which acts as the desktop. He has a serious look on his face, which is not uncommon for a general, but after such a high-risk and highly important mission ending in success, he would usually look a little more relaxed, like someone carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders and then having it all just instantly lifted. This was not what the sergeant is used to as she stands at full attention in front of the general's desk. The general hangs up the call he was having on the secured phone line, even without saying goodbye or other formality of the military. The general finally acknowledges the presence of Sergeant Lee and orders her to get Commander Pedersen. As she approaches the debriefing area, she takes notice of a loud but small celebration going on in the tent. Then she recalls that this is the final operation for Commander Pedersen, as he's done and retiring in a week. The week will be filled with debriefings and getting ready to return stateside. Technically, there will be more administrative and debriefing responsibilities upon arrival back in Washington before his official retirement, but this is it for field missions. Matt has even turned down a special request and personally asked of him by the president to continue on as the leader of America's top special ops team and most effective one in American history. He respectfully declined as his son is now 11, and Matt feels enough regret of not being there as much as he should have been. He has made a promise to his beautiful wife and son that he will retire and be home for them, as he wants to make up for the guilt he has for living the last 15 years of his marriage and 11 years of his son's life conducting missions around the world. As she enters the tent, Matt is telling the team how excited he is to be home next week and in time for his son's baseball playoffs. This will be only the second time he was able to see any playoff games, and the last time he was only able to see up to the 6th inning as he was called away to deal with the hostage rescue at JFK Airport. They all laughed as they recalled one of the hijackers actually pissed his pants when the team made entry and shot him with a taser. "Commander Pedersen, the general has requested your presence immediately," she stated. The team stands and starts to follow when Sergeant Lee tells them they can stop, as they are not being requested as a team, just Commander Pedersen. As Matt enters, he sees the general standing at his desk. On the desk are 2 coffee cups. In the general's hand, a bottle of vintage scotch. He asks Matt if he would like one. Matt stands confused, as there's never alcohol in the general's presence in the field. Matt figures that since it's his final mission and he is about to leave this life behind, the general is making a special exception for the occasion. The general pours double shots into each cup and hands one to Matt as he sits. He signals for Matt to take a seat in the chair in front of his desk. Matt is still confused though, as there's not a lot of sense of celebration or relaxation in the general's voice or mannerisms. Matt is an expert at reading others, but this one is really throwing him off. They both take a drink and sit in an uncomfortable silence for only moments, but to Matt seem like forever. What the general says next will take Matt to a place of disbelief and shock that he has never experienced, a level of anger and darkness he has not been to, even in the darkest of missions around the world and fighting the worst of the worst. What happens next will not only change the path of Matt and his family's life, but also the entire United States of America. What will Matt do with the secret weapons and technology at his disposal that would make the CIA and MI5 envious and the Russian military fearful?